How, as free-to-play players, do you feel like you're able to get some of the top things in game? Hello everybody, welcome to an interesting video, a bit of a weekend topic based video, and this goes over a thread that I thought was quite interesting to read through, obviously being free to play, and the way that I've approached trying to get some of the things like Deathless Guillotine pieces and what would be Deathless King Groot have all been through non-spending means. And what I mean by that is, like, people say, well, I didn't spend anything to get this, so I didn't spend any physical money. But what I'm referring to is, like, basically I haven't stimulated my roster to a point of adding rank ups, acquiring specific champions, you know, investing physical money into getting things like Paragon crystals, you know, all the, and Cyber Weekend, July 4th deals, things that would have allowed me to, yeah, just get up on the ladder quicker than most, especially because there are people out there that have had, will probably now, maybe, close to their 4th rank 3 7-star. Well, I'm sitting on 2 and I have 100% in Necropolis and I'm Valiant. So, look. Okay, let's get to the point of the video, because there's a lot of things. So I'm going to, like, impart some of my own wisdom from, you know, turning 2 years ago into a non-spending player. And do bear in mind, 2 years ago, there weren't any 7-stars. So, you know, just let that sink in. 2.25 years ago. But interesting thread, nevertheless. Just want to know if you guys have a fair option for acquiring a piece of Deathless Guillotine for free-to-play players who have missed their first part, because 5,000 units is impossible, or a non-spender like me. It will take a whole year. Skill isn't the barrier. You can design hardest content you think, but please make one piece affordable. It's a request. So, of course, the problem with a lot of this is that Kabam won't, you know, and players aren't as well going to be helpful towards the cause. Here's the thing. Kabam want you to go out and work for something. If you want something, you're going to have to save. And the sad truth about it is you're going to go and have to farm units. One of the biggest problems I think I've experienced this year is finding there's been just so much content to invest my units into, which hasn't necessarily been a good thing, but hasn't necessarily been a bad thing. It's been bad because I haven't been able to focus on what I want. And a lot of times the rewards within some of these Karina's challenges or Deathless pieces or whatever, yes, there's stuff I need, but it hasn't aligned to what I, well, not what I need, it's what I want, but not necessarily what I need. What I want, or what I need is rank 3 and 7-stars. I'm not getting that. It's only Winter of Woe that's giving that. So that doesn't align with where I'm currently at. These 7-stars do intrigue me. And of course, for myself, I'm close to, like many other players, to get them. But of course, if I missed out from the Deathless pieces, I would have had to spend copious amounts of my own personal units, which currently at the point of recording this video is 8,000, to get to that particular point. You can see there, I can only purchase 3. So if you missed out on 3, hopefully you've missed out on 3. I suppose it's like the 4th is, one is that was in your mill, actually that makes sense, and then the other one is in that permanent Karina's challenge. So the things that are time sensitive, you get a chance. So it's 15,000 units to get a chance, and yes, of course, you need to invest to get that other particular piece. So look, being free to play, and if you miss out, this is the problem that I think I'm finding, and what a lot of players I think that are free to play are finding as well. And the thing is, I just don't think it's solely free to play, although there's a lot more to it, is your time is going to be invested more into this game. It's very grindy. 2024 is very grindy. Now, a lot of other games, mobile games, have become, or they're trying to become, less grindy, where Kabam and Marvel Contest of Champions is becoming more grindier. The same way formula you could probably say for their new game, which is that kind of King Arthur one, whatever's happening with that, it does seem to be a bit grindy in its construction. So look, is this all about trying to earn money from the player base? Maybe, but let's face it, predominantly the game is full of free-to-play players. So are they making copious amounts of money as well? Again, that's debatable. Yes, okay, you could say that there's a lot of profit, but that's another story for another day. So in-game, as a lot of you know, things are very grindy in general. Trying to find the time for things like Battlegrounds, to try and do, if you're free to play, Arena. Now, I do incursions, but I'm having to think about whether or not I need to ditch that as something I need to do. Although, and however, next month, you have to do incursions because it's part of the narrative. The same way that, what was it, last month? Was it last month or January? You had to do incursions. And I guess that's the thing. I get a little bit kind of annoyed with Kabam's kind of like, you don't have to do everything stance. The problem was, because this particular player that we saw this forum thread didn't do everything, they now have to spend 5,000 units to get a single piece of Deathless Guillotine. That's the problem. You have to do everything. Do you want to get that Nightcrawler 7-star? Well, you have to do Battlegrounds. Do you want to get a final piece of Deathless King Groot, or do you want to spend 5,000 units? You have to do that particular piece of Alliance War Showcase content. And again, Kabam will say, no, you don't have to do it. Well, do you want to spend 5,000 units on that? That's the problems we're always left with this particular place of the game. I don't know if this is theoretically like an easy quick fix. And I think this is the problem, is that you can throw data, you know, and information. It's always interesting, like reading DNA 3000s. There's a non-arena grinder that does just a few rounds a day and grabs the first 2 milestones in each non-Sunday arena. Can get that many units in about a year just from the arena alone. Again, this is debatable if you want to get this, and the problem is time sensitive around what will be the Thanos side of things when it comes to the Deathless Synergy team. Could be like, right, well, you may feel pressured to get it, to kind of like invest to get that 7-star piece or 6-star piece. You know, that's another thing as well. You may want the 6-star piece. How much is the 6-star piece? I didn't check that. It could be a little bit less with it, but 2,000. Well, it's not ridiculously bad, but it's still not kind of ridiculously good. So it's kind of like there if you're interested. Same thing with you know, King Groot on the matter. But here's the thing: it's always down to where you see yourself in the game. You know, DNA says so, and a free-to-play player that actually wants to chase the Deathless Champions and expends a reasonable level of effort to buy pieces they missed would be able to get enough units to buy the piece timescale between 4 and 28 weeks. But this is the thing, isn't it? Are you coveting the Deathless pieces above things like July 4th deals or Cyber Weekend? And I have to make that decision as well, because as much as I'm like, great, I units wise, I'm like, what are we, 4 months away? And I need to start thinking about dying less, or kind of like approaching content less. Now that's a weird thing, isn't it? I've tried to push myself to do stuff that maybe, I don't know, muscle memory isn't there anymore. Like, as I've said, like, as I'm getting older, it's where it'd be like I do a fight, you know, 2-3 years ago, and I do it in about 2 attempts. It's now taking me about like 20 attempts to do stuff. And look, it's not woe's me, but it's like you get the idea. If like I'm kind of going and trying to do something 20 times, and nowadays with this energy cost, and that's something as well that's eating into things like energy refills, and is that costing me units? And one thing that I liked for a time is that as part of this X Magica, we had the energy recharge that allowed at least an opportunity to retest or kind of retest on those particular fights to make sure I've locked it down. Now, I invested some revives into, and a little bit of units into getting that final Deathless Guillotine piece, and I was like, okay, it was good. I had a good couple of boss fights and one boss that ruined my day because I just wasn't getting the rotation round. And when that's the problem of going back to old content and relearning on stuff that I've already done, I don't really like that. I always feel like if a fire's gone out, you don't go back and relight it. It's like, no, go back to light fire. You don't go back to a lit firework. And if the firework's gone a bit, it's kind of like it's lit and the fuse is gone. Don't go back to it, you know. Go back to it the next day and chuck it in the bin after, because obviously it's a dud and or you're done with it. The same thing, no, it's like as soon as the fireworks gone off, you walk away from it. You don't go back to it and touch it because it's going to be hot. Whatever it is, I'm not thinking of a good acronym for the kind of description of this, but whatever. I think people get the idea with that. So yeah, but that's the thing, you know, time and effort, and I need to be doing that because I want to invest my units into Cyber Weekend deals. A lot of people, it's always debatable because, you know, Command had this rhetoric where they were like, oh, you know, units for revives and health potions. And I sort of get that, and we'll come to that particular point why I get where they're coming from, because it did technically benefit me in some way. It also goes against the fact that free-to-play have a very hard time selecting things that they need and have to, you know, save up copious amounts of units for July 4th deals, Cyber Weekend deals, and very close after Cyber Weekend deals is Banquet event. And a lot of players have to spend a lot of time preparing for those events. If you're free to play, trying to make gains a lot of the time is centered around more the latter point of the year events as opposed to July 4th deals. And that cap enlistment event adding in last year put the cat amongst the pigeons, because a lot of us are free to play have to then think about more units for those particular events, because there's more pressures on some of the things that are contained with them. At the time for that cap enlistment event, it was when you could get 7 stars, or the what was it, the 7-star event with that shooting stars event, or whatever it was. Like, if you got involved with that, it got you some more 7 stars. And that was important as well for free to play if they had the units. If they didn't have the units, then they just completely went. And it's like, that puts a lot of pressure on free to play, where I've seen lots of people within the community spending and grabbing opportunities at 7 stars. And look, here's the thing. At the time, with that particular, well, thing that was going on with those 7-star events and 7-star building, is we had Battlegrounds. And Battlegrounds was something as well that, look, if you have, or whatever, 7 stars, guess what? They do more damage than 6 stars. Oh, yeah, but Rich this, and yeah, but Rich that. But it's like, then they start rank 2ing, rank 3ing, and they become really frustratingly mismatched. People get so funny when you say, oh, well, matches aren't fair, are kind of like are unfair, or in Battlegrounds, and people get very funny about it. But there is strong evidence to show that there is you know, a misbalance at times. And, oh, it's about skill. Yeah, but it's the difference in health pools. I'd certainly take a rank 3 or rank 4 Sasquatch in defense versus a rank 3 7-star Sasquatch. Like, you're just going to be there for a longer length of time. Even if it was kind of like you know, higher signature, it's going to be pretty scary on this health pulse with that. Same thing with attack anyway. But yeah, I think that's another kind of point as well on here. Time, units. And that's the thing. You have to invest more time into it. And that's something, as I said, like, I'm definitely finding right at the minute that I'm going to have to put a lot more effort in. But yeah, like, look, it's down to you as a free-to-play player how you feel like the balance is going between your time investment, how you're feeling in a competitive stretch between those a lot higher, or those that are able to access a more harder strengthened roster. And look, it shows. Like, if you go to the top leaderboards at the moment in game, you're definitely presented with kind of examples of, look, well, I can see, like, what am I? I've got like I'm non-spending, and I've got a 4.8 mil rating, and you know, people at the top are a lot higher. I mean, fair play. Look, this is nothing against anybody, and like, spend your money how you want to spend your money. But there's a big divide, and I'd be like, okay, well, let's check out Raymond and go like, okay, well, how look, that's kind of like, that's some chonky champions right there. Am I going to really want to go against that onslaught as a 7-star? And what kind of signature is that going to be? That again is the question. It's an 80 signature, so it's kind of like it's been duped. It's been duped. You know, that's what, 4 times it's been duped. So, yeah. So there you go. It just gives you a bit of an idea, doesn't it, with that? But each to their own. Each to their own. There's nothing against that. But the point, of course, of this video is to say you've got to work as hard as you possibly can, and you're always up against it. It's just trying to find the time. Like, one thing that I've tried to do is kind of figure out what I wanted to do, you know, from making YouTube videos, how I wanted to approach being non-spending, and also how I want to make gains. And one of the biggest things was, and as I did say, we'll come back to this point, is yes, I invested units into, at some point, because revive farming was nerfed, the ability to kind of use my units, which I saved up a lot because I worked hard last year, decided no on Cyber Weekend, no on a huge banquet event investment, and I only lightly scratched into it to get myself Valiant. And the reason I did that was self-evident from those daily crystals when they are opened. And if you've seen that video, that you know exactly what I'm talking about. Many people messaged me after and said, Rich, you've given me a good kind of reason to push to become a Valiant player, because I want to get what you got from those daily crystals. Those things are helping out on a daily basis, at least pad the gap between, say, incredibly high spenders and, you know, me just trying to like just get up there just to enjoy my time with it all. But that's what you got to do. Work hard, keep battling. You know, it's a tough game. It's a tough game at times. But if you are kind of looking at it and going, hey, I want some of those Deathless Guillotine pieces. Yes, units are hard to get nowadays. Chip away at it, but I really hope in the future Kabam kind of understand the plight of players to go, look, if 97% of this community are non-spending players, how do we make our game less grindy and also allow that nice balance that players can enjoy it, that are free to play. Spenders can enjoy it as well from how they choose to interact with deals, offers and whatnot. And we create a nice eco balance for fair matchmaking, fair participation and, you know, just fun. Which I just think that the grindy nature of the game really needs to sort out between this year and next year. But we shall see what happens. Thank you very much for watching this video. What are your thoughts on the matter of being free to play? And yeah, thoughts in the comment section. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.